Today, I'm with the first pick. Look who I found, my good buddy, Ricky Spielman. He's back. For how long? No one knows. No, it's good to have Rick back here. I was telling a story how my wife thought I would be forever lost if you weren't still in my life. And I said, wait a second. I don't know what stories you've heard about Mr. Spielman, but we're glad to have you back. The folks missed you. Debo missed you. Claire missed you. So we're here at the Senior Bowl.
It's great to be back, and I'm excited to talk about some of the stuff that we saw today. Some of the good, some of the bad, and my sarcasm has taken it to the next step. Since I haven't been on the air with you in a while.
Absolutely.
So looking forward to this.
I'm happy. I'm very happy. If my face doesn't show it, I'm blushing a little bit, Rick. Before we get going, do you know how many days I brought it here until the 2025 NFL Draft?
Well, I was going to say, is someone going to hold up a sign, or do you have it?
Coop's over there, but I'm not going to make him do that, so I'll do it.
Okay, so one of my superpowers is to be very observant. So
you cheated. Okay, fair enough.
I would bet there are 86 days left to the 2025 NFL Draft.
Who's my favorite 86?
Oronde Jaxson.
Great call. I talked to his son the other day, Hines Ward.
Okay.
Nice call, yeah. Oronde Jaxson. A fun fact from Oronde Jaxson, told me by Oronde Jaxson II, who was at the Shrine Bowl, played at Syracuse. His dad caught Dan Marino's last touchdown pass.
Is that right?
That's not a bad thing to put on your resume.
Maybe one of the greatest red zone receivers I've ever been around when I was down in Miami.
I wish I'd known that. I would have told his son that when I talked to him the other day. Nice tight end, 247. Love the way he plays. Blocks like his dad blocks. His dad would block too, right?
His dad did everything except run fast.
Okay, we can't have everything. We all can't be Rick Spielman. Oh, we're so excited to have Rick back. All right, Rick. First up, the national team. And our buddy Coop Protagin from 247's here. And he brought this up during the second session. It felt like that wasn't quite as
Why does Coop always have to get into these conversations? I mean, everybody's like, I take a couple days off, and then everybody's trying to Wally Pip me into this chair.
And like Coop said when he did Wally Pip, he said, I know who Wally Pip is, and I fully expect it to be realized. So you better quit taking all these days off. I mean, Debo's with us too, and he's trying to get us to hustle because we have to do an HQ hit. But Debo, you'll be happy to know that during Rick's 2-month hiatus of working, he watched every single episode of Paramount Plus. So he's all caught up on all the Paramount Plus episodes. Shout out to our bosses, but you need to start watching some of these guys.
Yeah, Debo, and if you want to do a podcast on Landman or Lioness or The Agency. I'm all ready for it.
No comment from Debo. All right, let's go. Debo's angrily texting me about why we're not getting this going. All right, let's start with the national team. They were the first team to practice this morning. You and I talked to some players, and those interviews will come out as we get through them all. We talked to some players this morning before practice from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., so we're hardcore. But give me some guys that stood out to you from practice today, because unlike typical years, you're not all the way caught up because you've had some other things going on the last few months.
Yeah, the one thing that I was very disappointed in at the beginning of practice, and then all of a sudden he started showing up during practice. I was trying to look at these quarterbacks, and Daniel Gabriel, the quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, the quarterback from Oregon, when they were just doing inside run period, he was taking snaps from center, and he fumbled 2 snaps that I saw. So that's something, because he's always been in a shotgun. And the cadence with the offensive line was off. It's a lot of times these guys are getting in an NFL huddle for the first time, so they're learning that. But what I really liked is when I seen him in team and I saw him spin the ball. I know he's small, but the ball comes out quickly out of his hands.
A little better arm than you thought?
Yeah,
I think so too.
Arm than I thought. And the one thing that stuck out into my mind, what type of offense is this guy going to fit in? And if it is a Miami Dolphins type offense of what they did with Tua, as far as the quick motions, getting the ball out quickly, he gets the ball high enough where he doesn't get balls batted to the line of scrimmage. So for a guy, I was like, ugh. All of a sudden, by the end of practice, I was like, okay, let's see what he does tomorrow and see if he can improve in some of those areas that he struggled in today.
And one of the things you've talked about is that you want to see just progress from day 1 to day 2 to day 3, because to your point, he hasn't done that in forever. I don't know the last time he was under center consistently, and he's played at a ton of schools. And I think Oregon fans, they weren't mad at us, but they wanted us to talk more about Dylan Gabriel and what he did this year. And we sort of talked about him last year at Oklahoma. I think he was one of the 5-star prospects. And I think we undersold him, in part because he's 5'10", and you wonder how that works out. But to your point, his arm, he had a little juice on the throws today.
Yeah, no, and the ball came out smooth. It was a tight spiral. When he was in rhythm and on time, I thought for the national team, he was the most accurate quarterback. So that stuff really impressed me. And even though he's small, and he's going to have to fit in a West Coast or a quick rhythm type offense. But I think he really helped himself after I thought he stumbled out of the gates today.
Yeah, no, that's right. I'm going to go with his teammate because unlike you, I don't just watch skill position players. I was watching some of the guys in the trenches. I like Josh Connerly a lot. My concerns was that he was a little raw. Like athletically, he's nuts. They lined up a quarterback at times at Oregon last year. Played wide receiver in a couple snaps there and extra points. I thought he did really good in the one-on-ones. I thought he did good in the run game and the team drills. And I thought, that's what I wanted to see. You don't want him out there getting beat with swim moves or inside counters or whatever. And I thought he did a good job, especially in the one-on-ones, which is typically geared towards defensive tackles or defensive ends having the advantage. So I was pleasantly surprised by that. Not pleasantly surprised, but I was happy to see him do that because he's going to be a first-round buzz guy.
Yeah, and there's no question about his athleticism, his ability to move his feet, to adjust. I did see him get bowled a few times.
I missed those. All right,
that's
I'll go back.
The thing that he's going to have to, and you saw that in the college tape as well, where he's going to have to learn to anchor. But what did surprise me is the nastiness that he comes off the ball in the run game, and he tried to finish out here. So I would give him a plus as well.
Oh, good. All right. Did you see anything from our buddy Mike Green, the martial edge rusher? He transferred from UVA because we talked to him this morning. Soft-spoken guy, but he seems like he's got to focus this week.
Yeah, a few times he showed some edge speed, and when he can get to the outside edge or the outside shoulder of the tackle, a couple of times he tried to prove that he was going to be a power rusher and try to rush down the middle of those offensive tackles, and I think he got stonewalled. So I thought he was okay. I would like to see him the more we go into the week, and especially in the one-on-one drills. He's such a unique length athlete, and to use some of that skill set where I don't need to see you try to rush a guy right down the middle and get stonewalled in the pass pro. What you need to do is get on the edges and show your athleticism and show your burst once you get off that block to close to the quarterback.
Speaking of burst, you asked me on the drive over here, but Donovan Izuruwaku, I have to double check the pronunciation. The BC edge rusher who I thought had a flash to this fall, but one of the one-on-ones that I got a good chuckle out. He went up against Belton, the tackle from NC State, might be one of the biggest kids here, and he tried to bull rush him, and then he tried to hit him with a spin move, and that worked about as well as you think, because his path winning isn't bull rushing guys who outweigh him by 120 pounds. But hey, he's trying to show it. I get it. But I like both those guys, and I think Belton's probably a guy that's going to move inside with that size. And I'm not going to say lack of foot speed, but when you get to the NFL, and he's a pretty big guy out of NC State, that may be his path. And we saw a lot of that too. The North Dakota State kid, Zabel, that you like a lot.
Really liked him and what he did. He played left tackle, and he reminded me, maybe not as thick as a Cody Mauk, who was drafted by Tampa Bay and was a plug-and-play starter since his rookie year. They moved that kid, Zabel. He was left tackle. There's the athleticism. There's the grit and toughness. Everything that comes out of the Bison players up in North Dakota State. Just make sure you announce that with a Z.
Oh, they get on you if you don't?
Oh, yeah. So you say Bison, you're going to get run out of the state of North Dakota. It's Bison.
Bison, I got you.
But the one thing is that they lined him up at guard. And the first time I think he's played offensive guard, and it was as smooth of a transition as I've seen anyone go from one position to the other on the first day down to the Senior Bowl.
Okay, well that certainly gets your attention. By the way, worth noting, in Debo, I can't read Slack, so you got to tell us on air what you want to happen if we're running up against some stuff here. So Dylan Gabriel's here. Tyler Shuck, the Louisville quarterback who started at Oregon, went to Texas Tech. I think he's going to be 26 by the time the season starts. And then I haven't watched one single rep of this young man because he plays in Canada. Taylor Elgersma got the invite out of Laurier, and that was a big talking point in the weeks leading up to him coming here. You've never seen this kid before. What were your initial impressions?
Struggled, in my opinion. He looks like he has enough arm talent. It looks like it was a little big for him the first day. I think that we'll see how it progresses. But you remember Tyler Bajan coming out of that small school in West Virginia, Shepherd College, and end up being a backup up in Chicago. He struggled his first day, but he kind of grew on you once he got his feet underneath him, once he got into the rhythm and the speed of the game. So I'm anxious to see if he can improve from what we saw today. Yeah, and that's the thing. We talked about Tyson Bagent at the time. He was overwhelmed, Division II, maybe, this stuff's too. He figured it out. And sometimes it's going to take a little while. And our buddy Emory Hunt, who covers the CFL
probably closer than anyone else. The ball's different and the field's different, so that's an adjustment period as well. And we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to ding the kid, but it's just something to note.
Can I make one bold statement here? Before
let's see how bold it is, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. I wanted one of the receivers that I really wanted to hone in and focus on. Was
I was going to say the little guy,
Tez Johnson, who
you hate little guys.
Weighed $165,
yeah.
But watching him run routes today, it was the same image that I saw Tank Dell do down here. And the way he caught the ball, but how he separated in man coverage, how he was able to separate downfield on the goal ball. This kid reminded me a lot of what we saw on Tank Dell a few years ago when he was down here at the Senior Bowl.
And Tank, I don't know how I have the numbers, but I have to look. Tank weighed more. He had to have weighed more.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to ask you, is this a Xavier Worthy situation?
I think this is a longer, taller Tank.
So he's that sort of toughness, like you're okay going over the middle and taking, because you wouldn't send Xavier Worthy over the middle too many times.
No, but this kid really was impressive, and that was one of the guys I was really excited to watch.
I'm glad the little guy is finally making his way into your vision, because you were just for the longest time you didn't like little people. I will say this: you talked about.
I like you. I like Pete.
You don't like Pete. You talked about Zabel moving inside. Wyatt Millam, also the tackle from West Virginia, moved and worked inside as well. And maybe I think his arms came in at 32 inches and change. And when that happens, typically you got to have some conversations. Not necessarily all the time, but I think it makes sense for him to get some work inside.
Yeah, and I watched him inside. It wasn't as smooth as Zabel, the kid from North Dakota State. In the run period, he had a tendency to lunge instead of bring his feet through on contact. There's no question about his toughness. They did have him one rep out at left tackle, and he just got buzzed by on a speed rush. So I think that's his best position. I'm hoping that the speed of the game or moving inside the guard, because things happen so quickly in there, that he'll make that adjustment tomorrow. But I was trying to compare the two. And I thought Zabel had a better day than he did, both transitioning from tackle into guard.
And Zabel and his quarterback as well, Cam Smith, who was at the Shrine Bowl last week, both got on our radar with the Colorado game back in week 1, where they took it toe-to-toe with the Buffs there. One other guy I'll mention before we turn the page on this team, unless you have some guys, two other guys actually. I'll mention Arante Ursary, the Minnesota left tackle, who's a big young man, and in the run game, he's going to be very good early. I think the pass pro is the stuff that's going to have to work on. And then I thought Landon Jaxson, number 40 out of Arkansas, I liked a lot during the season, and he flashed in one-on-ones. But again, I mean, it's just one-on-ones, but it's a good start.
Yeah, Landon Jaxson, he's a speed to power guy. He's a bigger edge rusher.
Yep.
I think he's around 280 pounds.
Oof.
He does not have the same fluidity in his lower body as far as making some kind of move. I think he's going to rely on pushing the offensive tackle back when he makes that initial contact and then countering off that. But I want to see a little bit more finesse in his pass rush. And maybe that's not his game. He's going to be more of a power rusher. And Ezra from Minnesota, the big left tackle, struggled early, but once he got settled in, I thought he did a very good job in pass pro. He's a tough man to get around just because of not only his size, but his length as well.
All right, Debo says we have 9 minutes. So we'll go to the American team. And Coop and Emery and I were talking about this as we watched practice. Felt a little more disjointed. And is that something you noticed as a GM sitting up there, that you want to see more from the guys? There's a lot of monkeying around? Or
it was like for the first half hour, I didn't know if they were going to practice or not.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Right, so eventually they got going.
Is that something that you would say something to someone about, hey, can we get this, or it's not your call?
That's not, no.
Well, you want to see the guys.
Jim Nagy, and that's, I'm sure some people may say something. Hopefully they get into more competitive periods earlier in the practice.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so this team is stacked with quarterbacks. They got Jalen Milroe, they got Jaxson Dart. Who are the other guys they had at quarterback?
Riley
Leonard. They had the guy that we talked this morning, Mr. Seth Hennigan.
Yep.
By the way, Devo, we talked to Seth Hennigan, the Memphis quarterback, and I asked him, because Rick spoke to Memphis to start the season, and he said, yeah, I remember you came and spoke to our team. I said, Seth, anything that sticks out to you from Rick's talk? And he said, yeah, he got up there and he told a joke that no one got, and then we thought he was serious because he didn't do anything. He's just staring at us like a weirdo. Then he laughs, and everyone goes, oh, okay. So that was his lasting impression from a story that you're trying to inspire these kids, and you're telling dad jokes.
Well, it's something I want to see, their mental quickness, and that team took a long time to get the passed the mental quickness test, so I had to kind of help them along.
As Seth had in team drills, had a little run there, showed off his athleticism. That's something he mentioned he wanted to do when we spoke with him this morning. So all the quarterbacks there. Deion Walker, I thought had flashed at times today, but I want to start with maybe my new favorite player, Willie Lampkin, 5'10", 270 pound, 32-inch arm, left guard for UNC. They worked him at center.
Yes.
Is this going to happen?
What?
5'10", 270 pound center in the NFL.
The grit and toughness
through the roof.
Through the roof.
Top 5 pick.
And someone who will fight you till the end, till the whistle blows. But it's hard for me to imagine someone that size being able to line up in the NFL
against a Lee McNeil, for example.
But he would have to be the exception to the rule. But love the way he plays the game and love what he's showing out here on the field, at least the first day. It's just when you have to go against a zero nose or those big nose tackles in the NFL, how's he going to be able to hold up?
Yeah, no, that's right. I wanted to give him a shout out.
I just had a vision of Pete Prisco playing guard in high school when I was watching him.
I texted Pete yesterday from the airport. I said, this is the modern day Pete Prisco, because Pete was as nasty as they came and played guard. And, he said he bit people at the bottom of the pile and did all sorts of other things. I don't think Willie does that, but I'm glad he's here, and it's a fun story. All right, let's start with some of these.
Before you go off the quarterback thing, I just want to make a point.
Go for it.
I understand that it's a local kid, but Riley Leonard to just play in the national championship game, to come down here and go through practice.
Yep.
I thought was him wanting to just prove that, he can actually throw the ball in rhythm and on time. And I think that will come as we see during the week. But we were talking about earlier, Will Howard, who made a tremendous run through this playoff and ended up winning the national championship for Ohio State. The quarterback, he elected not to show.
I wonder what you're going to ask Will Howard when you see him.
Oh, boy, I can't wait to get in front of him at the combine.
So, yeah, no, you're right. I mean, in Will Howard's defense, Riley Leonard lives 15 miles that way, but he still made it.
Home.
He still made it. No, it was good to see him. I thought he had a pretty good practice, all things considered, that he's been playing
but just
since August.
Yeah, but give credit to the kid
for sure.
Having that, all the way to the national championship game, then coming down here and practicing this week.
Yeah, no, I was glad to see him, because I thought that maybe there was some talk that he wouldn't be here. All right, let's talk about these quarterbacks. Jaxson Dart looks like he pressed a little bit, and maybe that's just me. I thought Jalen Milroe was accurate at times. Other times he wasn't accurate. Any takeaways from what you saw from this group of QBs?
I thought that Dart had the smoothest, quickest release.
Okay.
I thought his arm talent was more than I expected, what I saw on tape. I thought he could put some zip on the ball. He just looked like the most natural quarterback down here, at least day one. I understand with the timing with some of the receivers and missing some of the throws, but I came away impressed. And then the more and more you talk to people, and, we talked about it on the last podcast I was on about the intangibles and all the grit and toughness and the leadership and everything. And I think if he continues to show well down here at the Senior Bowl, along with the intangibles, he may be a guy, because it's after the first two, after
wide
Sanders
open.
And Ward, it's wide open.
Yeah.
And, Milroe's going to be in the mix that we saw today.
And by the way, maybe that's why they have him on the same team, you think?
That's what the NFL scouts want to see.
Yeah.
Because when you can see these quarterbacks throw back-to-back, and we've seen it last year with a couple of guys that were down here, they always do a
Bo Nix and Michael Penix.
Right. They put them on the same team, not because they want to stack a team, because the NFL evaluators want to see these guys back-to-back in practice. Yeah,
that's right. And Spencer Rattler won MVP. You do the math for me. You tell me how that works. Thank you. What about Jalen Milroe?
I think the one thing, he looks a little mechanical throwing the ball to me.
You think he's thinking about it?
I think he's thinking a little bit. The number one, there's no question he's the best athlete in this draft class. And,
fair enough.
He's going to be able to make plays with his legs. He a little bit puts the ball in his release. It wasn't as smooth as Jaxson Dart's.
Yeah.
I thought the biggest question the teams are going to have to get answered, can he get through his reads and progressions? And I thought he was a little hesitant today when he was doing that.
And then finally, any guy that stuck out to you? I thought Deion Walker flashed at times. I told you I was talking to someone in his camp.
You know what? I'm going to disagree with you on that.
Okay, that's fine. I'm going to ask Coop to help me out. Hey, Coop, will you do me a favor? Will you plug in the big plug there? Just because No, I actually need you to plug it in. Just because I'm looking, the computer's about to run out of gas. Just push it down. Because I think, there we go. Thank you. There we go. Coop's saving us, I think. But go ahead and talk. I'm gonna fix this while you talk.
Okay.
Sure. Go ahead. Tell us about
Yeah, Deion Walker, there's no question about his size. He's a little bit thin through his lower body, especially in his calves and ankles.
Yeah.
But he is athletic. The thing that was disappointing to me is that even though he has quickness off the snap, he pops straight up out of his stance. So in the pass rush, you see those guys get their hands on him quickly. In the run game, a couple of times he stood up trying to look for the running back in the backfield. And while he's doing that, at his high pad level, they're knocking him off the ball sideways. So there are flashes that he did some really good things. But the thing that he needs to do in order for him to be the best version and the best player he can be is learn how to play with a lower pad level.
All right. Fair enough. And that's one of the knocks on him over the course of the season as well. I heard he might be banged up, so maybe he's playing through toughness. But those are questions he's got to answer either way. So I'll just mention one other guy, then we'll get out of here because we'll be back tomorrow. Walter Nolan at Ole Miss.
Okay. Star guy.
There we go. You got your attention?
Yeah. No. He to me is like what he showed a little bit was a Kalijah Cansey.
Oh, they're going to say collage.
Yeah.
No, Kalijah Cansey. Okay.
Type quickness. He's not going to fit into a two-gap defense where he's going to have to sit there and try to hold up versus double teams. But these defenses that look for one gap, three tech penetrators, I thought he had the quickest first step out of any of the defensive tackles I saw today.
Yeah, and our buddy Coop, who's right there, who does a lot of portal stuff. Walter Nolan's been on the radar for quite a while. He's not surprised anyone with his athleticism, but it's been fun to watch for sure on that Ole Miss team. All right, Rick, we're going to get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow and Thursday. Might have some guests tomorrow, have some guys join us. But
is Coop going to make a sighting while we're down here?
Coop might join us tomorrow. But we only had one microphone because D didn't send enough. So he sent them. I got to pick them up at the hotel. I'll do that tonight. But for Rick, who's back, he's back, guys.
Buddy.
Here we're back. And we'll be back tomorrow. So thanks to all you guys who watch and listen. Thanks, Steele, for producing. And we'll see you guys in 24 hours.